Good morning, Amma. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday we are discussing this pricing of futures. As I told you, rather than remembering the formula, remember the principle. A person who purchases an asset and enters a future forward and enters a forward contract to sell the asset is taking a riskless position. So normally, any person who is holding the asset, the risk of any person who is holding the asset is the fall in prices. Risk of any person who is holding the asset is the fall in prices. In this case, there is no risk, there is no such risk, because even though I am holding an asset, I need not bother about fall in prices, because I have already entered into a future contract to sell the asset at a certain price. So therefore, I need not bother about fall in prices. Accordingly, I am not taking risk. So therefore, I am entitled only for a risk-free rate of return. Okay. So long on risky asset plus short on forward is equal to risky asset. When you purchase a risky asset, it involves risk. When you go for a reverse position in forward contract, that risk will be nullified. That risk will be nullified. You'll end up with a risk-free rate of return. Therefore, you'll be eligible only for the risk-free rate of return. Accordingly, the price which the short position in a forward contract should charge from the long position is nothing but his cost of to purchase and his finance cost minus any dividends received from the company. Okay, ma? Right. So therefore, the price that can be charged, by the short party, by the short person, by the short position, by the short party from the long party. Short party means seller who is selling, seller. Okay, short party means seller. From the long party means buyer. Long party means buyer. Okay, so therefore the price at which the buyer, the price that can be charged by the short seller from the long party, that is the buyer, is equal to 2 points, is equal to cost incurred to buy the asset, cost incurred to purchase the asset, cost incurred to purchase the asset, that is present market price, plus cost of holding the asset, plus cost of holding the asset, plus cost of holding the asset, plus cost of holding the asset. So what is the cost of holding the asset, ma? What is the cost you will incur for holding the asset? It depends upon the underlying. It depends upon this asset. It depends upon this asset. If the asset is share, say for example, if the asset is shares or debentures, etc., financial instruments. If the asset are shares, debentures, financial instruments, etc. For example, if I take shares, okay, if I take shares as a financial instruments, therefore the cost incurred to hold the asset will be finance cost. Okay, cost incurred to hold the asset will be finance cost. Or if the asset is a commodity, finance cost. Or if the asset is a commodity, I need to incur storage costs also. This will discuss the commodity derivatives. First we'll do single stock futures, then index futures, then we'll go for the commodity derivatives. Okay. So in the commodity derivatives, to store the share certificate, I need not incur any cost. But to store potatoes, I need to take warehouse on rental basis. Do you understand that to put to keep the gold, I need to take a locker in the bank. That means to store the commodities, I need to incur some storage cost, maybe warehouse rent or insurance, etc., or power bill, or gold keeping the bank locker rent. To store the commodities, I need to incur the storage cost. But that storage cost will not be there for the shares. Okay, ma? That is what the point. So therefore, cost incurred to purchase the asset. This cost of holding the asset is nothing but opportunity cost of holding the asset. Rather than purchasing the asset, had we invested the same amount elsewhere, what we would have obtained? You might understand. Rather than purchasing the asset, had we invested the same amount somewhere else in a risk-free asset, what we would have obtained? That is nothing but this opportunity cost of holding the asset. Minus any dividends received from the company. Okay, ma? This is the formula. What I have written just now is a formula. Cost incurred to purchase the asset. Okay, ma? Right. So cost incurred to purchase the asset, add cost of holding the asset, less dividends from the company. less dividend of the company. This is the formula. But logically, what I told is that whatever the cost I have incurred on that, you should add fixed risk-free rate of return. As simple as that. Okay, that is my total return, my total eligible return. From that, whatever the dividend I have received, I have to deduct it. Okay, right. That is what the point. So I have discussed a couple of formulas also based on the contract duration and frequency of computation. Look at this problem one. So yesterday we have discussed this contract duration is less than a year and the frequency of computation is yearly one, sir. Look at the below problem. This is what we have discussed yesterday. Blue Dot company. The contract duration is 3 months. The contract is entered on February 8th and expiring on May 20th. Contract duration is 3 months. Contract duration is 3 months. So this we have calculated. Contract duration is 3 months. What is the spot price? The same formula we can apply here. So what is the spot price? 2,753. $2,753 into what is the risk-free rate of return? What is the risk-free rate of return in the question? The risk-free rate of return in the question is 5%. The risk-free rate of in the question is 5% divided by 0.05 divided by 12. How many months? 3 months. February end to May end. March, April, May. February end means you can take March 1st. March 1st, April and May. 3 months. Into 3 months. Minus dividend. Minus dividend. How we got the dividend amount? How we got the dividend amount? Look at the dividend amount. So dividend amount is equal to face value per share into rate of dividend. Okay, ma, look at this point. Face value into rate of dividend. Face value into rate of dividend. Face value is 10 rupees into rate of dividend is 30 rupees. It will be 3 rupees. It will be 3 rupees. That is what we have done yesterday. Once again, I'm substituting in the formula just to make you that comfortable with the formula. I'm repeating the same problem. So this rate of dividend amount is equal to face value into rate of dividend. Face value into rate of dividend. Okay, ma? Face value into rate of dividend. That is the dividend amount. Okay. So 2753 into 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. If you remember the same formula, you can do it. Okay, right. Right. So 5 divided by 12%. 5 divided by 12%, how much you'll get? 0.05 divided by 12%. 0.05 divided by 12. 0.05 divided by 12. We'll get 0.042. We'll get 0.0042. 0.0042. 0.0042. 0.0042 into 3. Into 3. Minus face value is 10 into 30%. Into 30%. 0.3. Okay. So 1 plus. So for this 0.0042. For that we have to multiply into 3. We have to multiply 0.004 into 3. 0.004 into 3. Okay, ma? This into 3 months. So this will be 0.0126. For that we have to add 1. We have to add 1. So it will be 1.0126. It will be 2,753 plus 1.0126. 1.0126 minus 3 rupees. Minus 3 rupees. You will get. So for this, if you multiply 2753, if you multiply 2753, so I'll get 2787 or 27888. 2788. I'll get 2788 minus 3. 2788 minus 3. It will be 27885. It will be 2785. 2788 minus 3. It will be 2785. 2785. As simple as that. This is the point. So simple. So my contract duration is less than 1 year, and the contract duration is less than 1 year, and compounding of interest, periodicity of interest computation is yearly one. So therefore we'll get the same amount. Okay, right. So this is 2785. Come on, right. Next. So this is yearly computation. Now we'll look at one more problem where the contract duration is 1 year. This is the routine format, traditional formula. This is the traditional format. Okay, 1 year contract duration is 1 year and frequency of interest computation is yearly once. Then how much we'll calculate? Okay, for that we have one problem I have given. Look at this point. Okay, look at the second problem here. A futures contract is available on R Limited that pays an annual dividend of ₹4 and whose stock is currently priced at ₹125. Each futures contract calls for delivery of 1,000 shares in 1 year, daily marking to market. The corporate treasury bill rate is 8%. Required, what should be the price of one futures contract? Okay, currently priced at 125. Currently priced at 125. Okay, my risk-free rate of return, treasury bill, corporate treasury bill. Okay, so treasury bill short term, treasury means very short term, less than 1 year. Okay, so actually you should not take corporate treasury bill as a 8%, even though it is given in the ICAI study material. Corporate treasury bills cannot be risk-free investments. Government sovereign treasury bills or government treasury bills will be 8%, but not the corporate bills. Okay, so the corporate treasury bills rate is 8%. Normally the corporate bills, the bonds, debentures issued by any company, that cannot be risk-free investments. Bonds issued by only government can be risk-free investments. So therefore, strictly speaking, that cannot be risk-free investments. But since no other information is given in the question, we have to take it as a risk-free investment. Take it as a risk-free investment. Take it as a risk-free investment. Take it as risk-free rate of return. Okay. So 125 rupees I am purchasing. At present, I'm getting the cost of 125 rupees. Look at this point. Look at this point. So the price to be charged. Okay, right. Next. Right. So short position, interest that can be, or return that can be expected by short position. Once again, I'm not using the formula. First we'll solve the problem with the logic and then we'll substitute in the formula. Okay, just for our comfort, we are substituting in the formula. But according to me, purely I'll give preference to the logic only. So return that can be expected by a short party is 8%. Is 8% per annum. Is 8% per annum. Is 8% per annum. Okay, ma? Right. So the amount invested by short party. The amount invested by short party to purchase the asset. That is the purchase cost 125 rupees. 125. Purchase cost rupees 125. Okay, ma? Right. Look at this point. Here, don't confuse. Sir, this I am taking a purchase cost of asset. This I am taking as a purchase cost of asset. My investment is nothing but purchase cost of asset. You may ask one doubt, sir. You are selling a short party. Short party means selling. Then why we are calling it as a purchase? Emma, I am purchasing now and selling in the futures contract. Not I am purchasing in the futures contract. I am purchasing in the spot market and selling in the futures market. Purchase cost of the asset in the spot market. Purchase cost of the asset in the spot market and selling price in the futures market. Okay, so purchase cost of the asset in the spot market. Purchase cost of the asset in the spot market. I am purchasing in the spot market and selling in the futures market. Okay, so the amount invested by short party is rupees 125. Purchase cost of the asset in the spot market is purchase cost of the asset in the spot market is 125. Okay, so therefore profit that can be expected, total profit. I said total profit that can be expected by short party. How much you can expect a total profit? 125 rupees is as invested. 125 rupees as invested on that 8%. 125 rupees as invested on that 8%. How much it is? 125 into 0.08. 125 into 0.08. So it will be 10 rupees. It will be 10 rupees. It will be 10 rupees. It will be total profit that can be expected short party is rupees 10 rupees. Okay, ma, rupees 10. Next, out of this point, dividend received by short party is 4 rupees. Dividend received by short party is 4 rupees. Dividend received by short party is rupees 4. Therefore, profit that can be the balance profit that has to be recovered. Balance required profit. Balance profit or remaining profit that can be recovered from the long party. Balance profit that can be recovered from long party is equal to how much, ma? Is equal to 6 rupees. is equal to 6 rupees. Out of total 10 rupees profits, 4 rupees we are getting dividend in the form of company. Out of 10, we are entitled for 10 rupees profit mark. We are entitled for 10 rupees profit. Out of the 10 rupees profit, 4 rupees profit, we already received from the company. So therefore, the balance 6 rupees only we can expect from the long party. So therefore, price to be charged, sale price to be charged, sale price to be charged, sale price to be charged from long party, sale price to be charged from long party is equal to cost plus profit, cost price plus profit, cost price plus profit from long party, profit from long party, cost price plus profit from long party. That is how much is the cost price. 125 is the cost price. And how much profit I should charge from the long party? 6 rupees is the profit I should charge from the long party. 6 rupees is the profit that should be charged from the sale price to be charged from long parties. Cost price plus profit from long party is equal to 125 plus 6. That will be 131. It will be 131. So therefore, sale price per share. Therefore, price of futures contract. Contract size. Contract size. What is the contract size? Contract size is 1000 shares. Contract size is 1000 shares. Okay, ma? Contract size is 1000 shares. Okay. So contract size is rupees 1000 shares. Contract size is rupees. Contract size is 1000 shares. Contract size is 1000 shares. Therefore, contract price is equal to rupees 131 into 1000 shares. Rupees 131 into 1000 shares. It will be 1,31,000. It will be 1,31,000. Look at this problem. Nowhere I have used this formula. Nowhere I have used this formula. Just logic. So I am taking a riskless position. I am entitled only for the risk-free profit. How much I have invested? I have invested 125. So on that, how much I am eligible for return? 8%. That is 10 rupees. So the total return for which I am entitled, is 10 rupees. Out of the total return 10 rupees, already I am receiving 4 rupees from the company. So therefore, the balance 6 rupees profit only I can collect from the long party. My cost is 125 and the profit I am expecting to collect from the long party is 6 rupees. So therefore, in total, my sale price will be 131 rupees. So into number of shares will be 1000. It will be 1,31,000. It will be 1,31,000. The same if you apply in the formula. Look at this formula. In the same formula, you can apply this. Is equal to what is the sale price? 125 into 1.08. Rate of interest is 8%. Minus dividend. How much is dividend? 4 rupees. So 125 into 1.08. Look at this. 125 into 1.08. It will be 135 only. 125 into 1.08. It will be 135. Minus 4. 135 minus 4. How much you got? 131. Okay, ma, 135 minus 4, how much I got? 131. So therefore, contract price is equal to 131 into 1000. It will be 1,31,000. I got the same answer. See, I can get the answer easily. If I apply the formula, I can get the answer quickly. But I didn't understand. But I don't understand the logic behind the calculation. If I apply the formula, I'll get the answer immediately. But the disadvantage is that I am not understanding what I am doing. Rather than simply substituting the formula and doing multiplication, subtractions, etc., I'm not clear about what I am doing. So this is how the conceptual understanding. The conceptual understanding lies in this point. Without using the formula, from this logic only, to simplify the calculations, the formula is reserved. Therefore, logic first, formula next. Without understanding the logic, formula is no. Formula is only to save the time in the exam, not to learn the topic. Formula cannot give any knowledge to you. Okay, formula cannot be used to learn the subject. To learn the subject, you have to use the logic only. After learning the subject in the exam, if you want to save the time, you can do shortcut method of solving the answer. Use the formula. Okay, the purpose of the formula is to save the time in the exam, not to learn the topic. To learn the topic, you have to use the logic. Okay, right? This is what the point. Next. So next question: if the company stock price decreases by 6%, what will be the price of one futures contract? What will the price? Stock price decreases by 6% immediately after Mr. A purchasing the stock price decreases by 6%. That means how much is my investment? 125 into 6%. 125 into 0.6%. This is fall. That means 125 minus 7.5 will be 117.5. So 117.5. Same. I'll do the same formula. 117.5. 117.5 into 1.08 minus 4. 117.5 into 1.08 minus 4. 126.9. It will be 126.9. Minus 4. It will be 122.9. 122.9. So therefore contract price is equal to 1,22,900 into 1000. Into 1000, 1,22,900. As simple as that. Okay, ma? That is contract price 1,22,900. Okay, right. Look at the answer. Look at the answer. So 1 lakh, first one is 1,31,000 is the answer. I have given all these solutions. In my material, I have given all these solutions. You can go through it. In the problem, just I am solving. Okay, for the purpose of examination presentation, you can use this presentation. Okay, 1,22,900. And what is the loss? What is the loss? I have purchased loss for whom? Loss to whom? Loss to a long position, not to the short position. We have calculated all from the short position point of view. Now we have to think about long position. Long position. So long position. So this is the sale price. Sale price for whom? Sale price. Short party sale price. For the long party, it is purchase price. Long party, it is purchase price. Long party, it is purchase price. So after purchasing the contract, the price of the contract has fallen to 1,22,900. After I purchasing the contract, the price of the contract has been fallen, thereby incurring the loss. As simple as that. So after purchasing the contract, if the price has fallen, you will incur the loss. As simple as that. The loss is to the long party. Be clear. For the short part, it is a profit. For the long part, it is a con. Long party means what? Who purchased the contract? A person has purchased the contract at 1,31,000. Thereafter, the value of the contract has fallen to 1,22,000. Therefore, you will incur a loss of 8,100. Okay, ma? Right. So this is the second problem. This is the second problem. 1 year computation, no compounding, nothing. Very simple. 1 year computation, no compounding, nothing. Next, so out of these scenarios, whatever I have presented, out of these scenarios, we have completed this first scenario. 1 year contract, yearly ones. 1 year contract, yearly ones. And next, less than 1 year contract, yearly ones. This is we have seen in the illustration 2. This we have seen the below illustration. And this we have seen the classroom discussion problems. And now, less than 1 year, less than 1 year. So interest compounding is also less than 1 year, and contract duration is also less than 1 year. Interest computation is also less than 1 year, and contract duration also less than 1 year. You have to use the same formula. We have to use the same formula. Look at the first problem. The 6 months forward price of a security is rupees 208.18. The borrowing rate is 8% per annum. 8% per annum. Payable with monthly rates. Look at this point. Monthly rates means what? Compounding monthly. Monthly compounding. Monthly rates means monthly compounding. What should be the spot price? So here the problem is given different. They have given the forward price. They are asking us to short price. That means they have given the sale price and they are asking us to compute our investment. Okay. So same formula. Just will substitute the figures. We'll rearrange the formula, we'll get it. Okay, right. Next. So what is the forward price? They have given 208.18. 208.18. Spot price we have to calculate. Spot price we have to calculate. Spot price we have to calculate. 1 into what is the rate of interest? 0.08. How many times it will be computed? They are saying monthly rates. That means interest is computed every month. And if interest is computed every month, how many times interest will be computed in a year? 12 months. But you understand, interest is computed every month. Therefore, how many times interest is computed in a year? 12 times. Interest is computed 12 times in a year to the power of 12. And T refers to contract duration in a year. What is the duration of the contract? What is the duration of the contract? 6 months contract. That will be 0.5 years. 0.5 years. 6 months contract will be 0.5 years. As simple as that. 6 months contract will be 0.5 years. Okay, ma? Right. 6 months contract will be 0.5 years. It will be 0.5 years. Okay, right. Next, so we have to solve this with a spot price. 208.18 is equal to S0 into 1 plus whatever we have done, 0.08 divided by 12. We got some 0.0042 in the previous problem. In the previous problem, the same rate of interest we got, sorry, it is 5%, right? It is 5%, therefore I have to take it 0.08. It will be 0.0067. 0.0067. It will be 0.0067. 0.0067 to the power of 6. 12 into 0.5 to the power of 6. That is equal to S0 into 1 plus. Okay, I have to add 1. For this, we have to add 1. For this, we have to add 1. Okay, for this, we have to add 1.0067. So for that, we have to divide to the power of 6. 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 We will get 1.0409. 1.0409. 1.0409. 208.18. 1.0409. 208.19. Okay, 208.19. So therefore, S0 is equal to 208.18 divided by 1.0409. I'll get the answer. 208.0. Okay, therefore 208.18 divided by 1.0409. I'll get the 200 is the round figure. I'll get the 200 is the round figure. Okay, ma. Contract duration is 6 months and also monthly compounding. Contract duration is 6 months and also monthly compounding. Okay, ma. Right. This is what the problem. So first point is, first you have to look at this illustration, classroom discussion problem number 2. This will discuss in this we have discussed in classroom problem number 2. Okay, so contract duration 1 year and yearly compounding, and this is less than 1 year. Illustration, below illustration we have seen that blue dot share price, and next this we have seen illustration 1, classroom discussion 1, less than 1 year, contract duration less than 1 year, and interest compounding is also less than 1 year. Okay, ma? Right. Now look at this continuous compounding. Continuous compounding means what? As I said, there is no, we are compounding less frequently than a year. That means we are calculating the interest not even once in a day. We are calculating more times in a day. Maybe that means every minute you might be calculating interest. Every minute you might be calculating the interest less frequently than a day. So interest is computed more number of times in a day. Interest is computed more number of times in a day. Interest is computed more number of times in a day. More number of times in a single day. More number of times in a day. More number of times in a day. That is the point. Simple as e to the power of value. Since it is a complicated problem, in the exam they will give the values. You have to simply substitute the e to the power of RT values. Okay, ma? So for this also, whatever we are doing, if the dividend is there, we have to deduct the dividend, because the total return is risk-free return. If the dividend is not received, okay, well and good. If the dividend is received, we have to deduct the dividend. As simple as that. Okay, ma? If the dividend is received, we have to deduct the dividend minus dividend. If dividend is there, we'll deduct it. Otherwise, we'll leave the formula like that only. Okay, right. Now look at this point. Continuous compounding. Compute the value of a 4-month forward contract on 500 shares with each share price at rupees 75. Dividend at rupees 2.5 per share is expected. Very important point. Very important point. Here we have solved this problem. This blue dot problem where the dividend is deducted. Okay. Here also we have solved with the dividend amount. In these two cases, in that blue dot problem, okay, and this problem, we have received the dividend. There we have not reinvested the dividend. Remember, we have not reinvested the dividend. Look at this point. What is the significance of these words? Not substituting the formula. We have to understand. Okay, just before the dividend is received. These words are technical. Dividend was received just before the end of May. That means contract is ending. Contract expiry is 31st March. Dividend is received is just before. Dividend received just before. That means just before means no reinvestment, no time gap between the dividend received and contract expiry, no time gap for reinvestment. So dividend received to contract expiry, no time gap. Dividend received to contract expiry, no time gap. Therefore, no reinvestment. So if the contract is ending on 31st March, just before the same, maybe on the 31st March morning or afternoon, you might have received the dividend. So therefore, you are not able to reinvest the dividend. Had we received the dividend, say in the month of April, we would have reinvested the dividend for 1 month. Do you understand? Had we received the dividend in the month of April, we would have reinvested the dividend for 1 month. Since the dividend is received just before the expiry of the contract, dividend is not reinvested. So therefore, on this 3 rupees, we have taken only dividend amount, no interest income on the dividend amount. We are unable to reinvest the dividend. Therefore, reinvestment income is not taken. But here, in this problem, look at this point. Contract is 4 months. Contract is 4 months contract. Compute the value of a 4-month forward contract. Contract is 4 months. But dividend is received after 3 months, in a period of 3 months. That means I have 1 month time to reinvest the dividend. Okay. So at the end of 3 months, I have received the dividend, but the contract will expire after 4 months. Therefore, I have 1 year time to reinvest the dividend. Okay. Look at this point. So if that is the case, 1 year time to reinvest the dividend. 1 year time to reinvest the dividend. So therefore, whatever we are doing, look at this point. Right. So 0 is the contract entry of the contract, and 4 months contract expiry, and 3 months is the dividend. And 3 months is the dividend. Okay. So and 3 months is the dividend. Now what to do with the dividend reinvestment? Now what to do with the dividend reinvestment? So here there are two different ways of calculating that. First what I can do is that whatever I'm investing at present today, 75 rupees. 75 rupees is my gross investment. 75 rupees is my gross investment. This whatever the dividend I am getting, I can deduct it the present value of dividend. Present value of dividend. So it will give a net dividend, net investment. As simple as that. Even though I'm investing 75 rupees, after 3 months, I'll get the dividend. That dividend I'll deduct it now, present value. That dividend I'll deduct it now, present value. So that present value of the dividend, if I deduct, I'll get the net investment. On that net investment, 4 months I'll charge the interest. 4 months I'll charge the interest. This is the way the formula is designed. Look at this point. Out of the present investment of 75, we are deducting this present value of the dividend. This is the present value of the dividend. Why? Because the minus is there, discounting. Minus is there. That means discounting to the present value. The dividend received at the end of 3 months is discounted to the present value. Okay. The present value of the dividend. Okay, ma. The present value of the dividend is 1,219. The present value of the dividend. I'm discounting, and whatever the net I am getting, I'll reinvest in it. That is one way. Another way of calculation is that. So normally, according to me, it is not the correct way. It is not the correct way to this point. It is not the correct way. According to me, the correct way is that. Though since the information is not correctly given the problem, we are doing this method. But according to me, the correct way is that whatever we are getting the dividend on third year, we have to reinvest it. Then we'll get the future value of dividend. On this spot price, we'll charge interest. This interest will be our total return. Minus dividend return. So therefore, profit to be charged from long party. As simple as that. The same method, whatever I have discussed. In the previous problem, we have discussed 10 rupees is total return. 10 rupees is total return, 4 rupees dividend received. So therefore, 6 rupees is the profit to be charged from long party. In a similar manner, what is my total return? What is my investment? 75. On that, what is my total return? So and so. So minus future value of the dividend. This is how I have to do it. But here, this is called as compounding. To compound that, E values has not been given. That is the reason I am forced to use this method. There are two different methods. Whatever the dividend occurring at the third point, take it to 0 or take it to fourth point. Okay, you can do it in any way. Or take it to the fourth point. Okay, ma? Right. Once again, I'll show you this point. Two different ways. One is 0. At the 0 point of time, S0. And at the fourth point of time, it will become S0 into e to the power of RT. That means investment plus return, future value of the investment minus future value of the dividends, whatever the dividend I'm getting, third point, that also I'll compound it. This is also I'll compound it. So this is also compounding, and this is also compounding, and this is also compounding. So this will give the dividend amount. This will give the future value of the dividend. So minus future value of the dividend, future value of dividend. So in that case, what happens is you have to do like this: S0 into e to the power of RT minus dividend into e to the power of RT minus dividend into e to the power of RT. Here this T stands for 4 months because I am compounding for 4 months. S0 I am compounding for 4 months. Here T stands for only 1 month. S0 dividend I am compounding only for 1 month because the dividend is received at the end of the third month. Therefore, I am compounding only for 1 month. So this will be 1 month. That means e to the power of the rate of interest is 0.1 or into 1 month. What is 1 month? 1 divided by 12. 1 divided by 12. 1 divided by 12. 1 divided by 12. 0.083. 0.083. So therefore 0.10 into 0.083, this will be This will be e to the power of 0083, e to the power of e to the power of 0.0083, e to the power of 0.0083. This is the word part. But since this is not given, look at this problem. They have given e to the power of 0.025 and e to the power of 0.033. They have not given this 0.0083. Table values have not been given. That is the reason I am not able to do this method. According to me, this is the correct method. Whatever I have shown, no, whatever I have shown, this is the correct method. We have to compound both the dividends. We have to compound both the dividends. 1 month time. Okay, we have to compound both the dividends. Okay, right. That is the 1 month time. So, but here the point is that, since this is not given in the question, so therefore we are going for the other alternative. Since that e to the power of RT is not given, we are going for the other alternative. What is the other alternative? What is the other alternative? 0 is S0, 3 is dividend, and 4 is future value. And 4 is the future value. Therefore, what I am doing? I am discounting it. I am discounting of dividend. So I'll get the present value of the dividend. I'll get net investment. Into e to the power of RT. Net investment into e to the power of RT. So this discounting has to be happened for 3 months. Discounting should happen for 3 months. Look at this, e to the power of 0.01. E to the power of 0.1 rate of interest into 3 months. 3 by 12 into 3 months. That means 0.25. So therefore, you will get e to the power of 0.025. E to the power of 0.025. That is what they have given. 1.0253. Be careful. What is that point? What is this 1.0253 and what is this 1.0335? After getting this amount, so here look at this point. Here I am discounting. Here I am compounding. Whatever the 0 value is there, 0 to 4 I am compounding. 0 to 4 I am compounding. 3 to 0 I am discounting. 0 to 4 compounding. Discounting means I should divided by, and compounding means multiply. Therefore, for the dividend amount, do it divided by, don't do it multiplication. You'll get the blunder mistake. Don't do multiplication, do it divided by, because that is discounting. After discounting, this is multiplication. Compounding. You might understand that the dividend received at the end of the 3rd month, that we are discounting to the present value, therefore divided by. And the net investment from 0 to 4 we are compounding. Compounding refers to multiplication. Okay, ma? So you understand, discounting refers to divided by, compounding refers to multiplication. So therefore, that is what the point. Therefore, I am approaching the second method. Because of the information, since the information is not given for me to compute the first method, which I preferred, I am using the second method. Okay. So therefore, S0 into S0 minus D into e to the power of minus RT. Because discounting, right? This will give you the gross investment. This will be the net investment into e to the power of RT. So this is the gross investment. Next, gross investment minus present value of income. So this will give you the net investment into return. Is equal to sale price. Net investment into return is equal to sale price. Okay, ma? That is the sale price. So what is S0? S0 we have to take it minus present value of the dividend. What is the dividend amount? S0 is how much, ma? What is S0? S0 is 75 rupees. S0 is 75 rupees minus dividend amount. How much is the dividend? 2.5 per share. Divided by 1.0253. Remember, it is divided by, because that is discounting. Into what is e to the power of RT? E to the power of RT 1.0335. E to the power of RT 1.0335. Sir, how I got this 1.0035? Very simple. What is this e to the power of RT? It refers to 4 months compounding. 4 months compounding into e to the power of 0.10 into 4 months compounding means 0.33, 1/3 of the year. 4 months means 1/3 of the year. That means 0.33. That is equal to e to the power of 0.033. E to the power of 0.033. Okay, right. That is what the point. So therefore, this is the sale price. Okay. Now do it. 2.5 divided by 2.5 divided by 1.0253 1.0253, 2.5 divided by 1.0253, you will get 2.4383. So 75 minus 2.4383, 2.4383, 2.4383 into 1.0335 is equal to sale price. So from this 2.4383, I have to divide by 75 minus 2.4383. It will be 72.5647. 72.5647 into 1.0335 into 1.0335 into 1.0335. Okay, is equal to into 1.0335. 1.0335. It will be 74.99, or it will be am I getting the same 75 rupees? Am I getting the same 75 rupees? No, it should not be the case. Somewhere we have done the mistake. Just let me check this point more. Our dividend is 2.5 per share. Okay, 75 is the stock price. 2.5 divided by 2.5 divided by 1.0243, it will be 2.4353. Sorry, 2.4383. 2.4383. It will be 72.5617. 72.5617. 72.5617 into 1.0035, 1.0335. You get say you are getting 75. We are getting the same price of 75. No, somewhere we are doing a small mistake here. We are doing a small mistake here. We are doing mistake 75. That is the case. 75 into 500. 75 into 500. 75 into 500. 37,500. Yes, I think we will get the same answer. Yes, 37,500. 37,500. Okay, yes, we have done the correct. Okay, so even though the figures appears to be somewhat unusual, but our concept is same. Okay, it will be 74.99. It will be 74.9925. 74.99 or 75 rupees. 75 rupees. That means what? That means what is the logic? So whatever your cost is there, your cost of 75, we are recovering only that 75 rupees from seller or from buyer. Our cost is 75 and we are recovering the same 75 from the buyer. That means whatever the return we want, we are getting from the company by way of dividend. Whatever the return we want, we are getting from the company by way of dividend. We are getting from the company by way of dividend. Look at this point. I'll show you. 75 into 1.0335 is equal to 75 into 1.0035 minus 75. 2.5125. This 2.5125 we are getting in the form of dividend itself. Whatever the return we want, we are getting in the form of dividend itself. Therefore, we no need to charge a separate price, separate profit from the buyer. Do you understand? We are getting the whatever the total profit we want, we are getting from the company itself. We no need to charge from the buyer. We no need to charge from the buyer. That means in our problem, whatever we want 2.51, entire 2.51 we are getting from the company. So therefore, we no need to charge any price from the buyer. We no need to charge any price from the buyer. Therefore, this will be 0. It will be same 125. Same. I'm just giving the comparison. So whatever the total profit we want, we are getting the entire profit from the company itself. So therefore, our cost price is 75 and sale price, forward price is also 75. Forward price is also 75. Therefore, contract price is equal to contract price. How many shares are there? Contract price is equal to rupees 75. Rupees 75 into 500 shares. Rupees 75 into 500 shares. That is equal to 75 into 500 shares. That is 37,500. 37,500. It will be 37,500. Very clear. Same logic. Whether the answer, irrespective of the answer, our logic is same. Because whatever the return we want, entire return we are getting from the company itself. Therefore, we don't need to charge any return from the buyer. We don't need to charge any return from the buyer. This is all related to the forward price computation. 4 types of computation I have shown. One is yearly contract duration is year and yearly computation. And another one is contract duration is less than a year and yearly computation. And contract duration is less than 1 year and less than 1 year computation and less than 1 year and continuous compounding. 4 different scenarios, 4 different problems we have seen. Okay, great. So in the next class, we'll start the index futures. So this is the single stock futures. That means I have entered into a futures contract. I have entered into a futures contract with only one. I have entered a futures contract to purchase the share of one company. What if I purchase the shares of 30 companies together? That basket of securities is called as an index. The basket of securities is called as the index. Okay, ma? Right? That is what the point. So therefore, in summary, we are using only 4 different formulas. We are using only 4 different formulas. I'll once again write what are the 4 formulas we are using for computing the future price. For computing the future price, 4 formulas we are using, but we should not use the formula because the e-value calculation or continuous compounding calculation will get the wrong answers. You have to use the logic. Okay, so forward price is equal to first point S0 into 1 plus R minus D. As simple as that. This is yearly compounding, or F0 is equal to S0 into 1 plus R divided by 12 into contract duration into contract duration minus D. Okay, or another point, F0 is equal to S0 into 1 plus R by N to the power of INT to the power of NT to the power of NP minus dividend dividend. Next, future forward price is equal to S0 into e to the power of RT minus future value of dividend D into e to the power of RT minus future value of the dividend D minus future value of the dividend. You should write future value of the dividend or S0 minus D to the power of D to the D to the power of e to the power of minus RT. This is into e to the power of RT. The 2 formulas based upon the D interest. So it refers to future value of dividends. It refers to future value of dividends. Future value of dividends. It refers to present value of dividends. Okay, based on the year information, based on the e-values, we have to use either the future value of dividend or the present value of dividend. Okay, ma? Right. That is what the point. Okay, this is the next class. We'll discuss the index derivatives. Solve that 4 problems. One is blue dot problem, another one is illustration, classroom discussion 1 and 2, and this year continuous compounding. Total 4 problems are there. Solve 4 problems using these 4 formulas. Okay, right. Next class we'll start the index derivatives.